A 73-year-old man once told me something that stuck with me. His name was Javier, and in his younger days he was a marathon runner. But as we talked, he lowered his voice and said, "I've been doing this the same way since I was 20, but lately, something just feels wrong. It's like a part of me has disconnected." He wasn't sick, he wasn't on new medications, but something was quietly wearing him down. The issue wasn't self-pleasure itself, because that can be healthy. It was the habits he had carried with him for more than 5 decades. He never realized those routines were slowly affecting his heart, his prostate health, and even his ability to feel true pleasure. Many men have been told that self-pleasure is harmless, and often it is. But after age 60, some private habits can quietly turn harmful without giving you any obvious warning signs. Here at Better Health. After 60, I want to open up a conversation that many men shy away from. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 of the most common mistakes older men make with self-pleasure, and, most importantly, how to fix them before they drain your energy, performance, or long-term health. And at the end, I'll share a 6th mistake, one that almost every man makes, and why understanding it can completely transform the way you see your body. So let's begin. Error 1. Doing it while sitting on the toilet. This one may surprise you. For many older men, the bathroom becomes a private space where nobody interrupts, the door locks, and routines feel safe. And so, over time, self-pleasure on the toilet becomes a habit. It feels convenient. But here's the problem. It's silently working against your body. As we age, blood circulation becomes one of the most important things we need to protect. Good blood flow supports healthy sexual function, a strong prostate, and even your recovery after climax. But sitting in that slouched, compressed position, especially on the toilet, restricts blood flow to the pelvic area. That posture doesn't just limit circulation, it puts unnecessary pressure on the prostate and strains the pelvic floor muscles. Over the years, this can irritate sensitive nerves that are already more fragile with age. The result? Many men in their 60s and 70s begin to notice swelling, post-urination dribbling, trouble fully emptying the bladder, or pain around the groin. And yet, they never connect those problems back to this one simple habit. But the solution is straightforward: awareness. Instead of locking yourself in that tight-seated position, change your environment. Stand, recline, or sit in a chair that allows your hips and pelvis to open. Give your pelvic area room to breathe and circulate. Your prostate may not be able to thank you out loud, but believe me, it's asking for relief. And if that mistake surprised you, just wait until you hear the next one. It's something most older men do without realizing, and it slowly rewires the body to feel less each time. Error 2. Ignoring the pelvic floor. Most men have never even heard of the pelvic floor, or if they have, they don't realize just how vital it is, especially after 60. The pelvic floor is the hidden layer of muscles underneath your bladder, your prostate, and your sexual organs. Think of it as the engine room that powers everything from erection strength to orgasm intensity to bladder control. But here's the problem. When this muscle group is ignored or left inactive, everything else begins to suffer. Let me give you an example. A 65-year-old man named Richard once told me he was eating well, exercising regularly, and staying active. Yet his sexual performance wasn't what it used to be. What he didn't realize was that years of sitting at a desk, storing stress in his lower abdomen, and never paying attention to those muscles had left his pelvic floor weak and disconnected. The result? Less firmness, less control, and less sensation. And here's where habits around self-pleasure make it worse. When you do it without engaging the pelvic floor, or even worse, by pushing and straining, you're actually placing more pressure on the prostate and weakening the very muscles that are supposed to be supporting you. The consequences creep in slowly: urinary leakage, post-pee dribbling, softer erections, and a duller climax. It doesn't happen all at once. It builds up year after year until one day you realize something's missing. But here's the good news. You can wake those muscles back up. During arousal, simply tighten the same area you'd use to stop the flow of urine midstream. Just a gentle squeeze, nothing forced. This builds awareness and strength, and over time it restores not only function, but confidence. Because confidence, as we both know, isn't just physical, it's mental. And when you start to rebuild that connection, it changes how you feel about your body. Now, speaking of confidence, there's another habit that drains it more than almost anything else. It's incredibly common among older men, especially those used to stress, routine, or secrecy. And the truth is, it's training your body to feel less and less every time you do it. Let's dive into that next. Error 3. Rushing the experience. One of the most common habits I see in older men is rushing through self-pleasure. After decades of stress, routine, or simply learning to keep things quick and quiet, many men treat it like a chore, something to get over with, rather than something to truly feel. But here's the problem. After 60, your body doesn't respond well to pressure, physical or emotional. When you rush, you send your nervous system into a state of tension. Your heart rate spikes too quickly, your blood vessels tighten, and your body never fully releases into the deep benefits of pleasure. Yes, you may still reach climax, but it's different. Instead of leaving you satisfied and energized, it often leaves you feeling drained, empty, or restless. That's because your body never got the full hormonal reward. Normally, relaxation chemicals like oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin flood the system. But in a rushed encounter, those healing hormones don't fully activate. Worse, this habit trains your body to expect quick, shallow pleasure. Over time, sensitivity decreases, arousal is harder to maintain, and even intimacy with a partner can feel less engaging. Many men blame age for this, but often it's the habit of urgency. The solution? Slow down. Let each moment be intentional. Take time to notice how your body feels. Breathe. Pause. Remember, there's no finish line anymore. You're not in a race. Presence is the goal, not speed. And here's the beautiful part. When you slow down, your body remembers how to feel deeply again. Even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond, your nervous system can still relearn how to experience pleasure fully, if you give it space. Now, slowing down is powerful. But even when men do that, another mistake often works against them. It's not about speed this time. It's about frequency. Too much or too little, and your body pays the price. Let's look at that next. Error 4. Too much or too little. This is one of those topics many older men are embarrassed to talk about. Some quietly wonder if they're doing it too often. Others worry that they've gone too long without it. And in the middle of that confusion, most men over 60 end up uncertain and alone with their questions. Here's what I've seen. Both extremes can cause problems. When self-pleasure happens too often, out of habit, boredom, or unresolved emotions, the body struggles to keep up. Energy levels drop. The prostate can become irritated. Recovery takes longer. And before long, real intimacy begins to lose its spark because the body is tired, and the mind treats it like a routine. On the other hand, avoiding it altogether isn't healthy either. Whether it's because of medications, health problems, guilt, or the belief that you're too old, stopping completely can cause the opposite issue. The body shuts down. Regular arousal, even without climax, is important. It keeps blood flowing to the genitals, nourishes the nerves, and helps maintain erectile strength. Without it, atrophy sets in, desire fades, and the door to connection, both physical and emotional, starts to close quietly. So what's the right balance? There isn't a perfect number, but for most men over 60, 1 to 2 times a week tends to be the sweet spot. Done consciously, with presence and care, this rhythm supports circulation, restores hormonal balance, and keeps the system alive. without draining your energy. The real key is listening. At this stage of life, your body whispers instead of shouting. Learn to notice how you feel after. Do you feel lighter and more energized, or tired and flat? Your body's feedback will guide you toward the right rhythm. But even when the frequency feels balanced, there's another mistake that can undo all of your progress. It's not about how often, it's about how connected you are. And it's one of the most invisible traps men fall into. Let's explore that next. Error 5. No emotion, no connection, no intention. This is perhaps the most hidden mistake of all, and also the most heartbreaking. It's not about how often you do it, or even where you do it. It's about how you feel while you're doing it. Over time, many older men turn self-pleasure into something mechanical, empty, or joyless. It becomes a routine, a quick distraction, or even a way to numb loneliness. But without emotion, without presence, without intention, the experience slowly loses its depth. I've spoken to men in their 60s, 70s, even their 80s, who tell me the same thing. It just doesn't feel the way it used to. And the truth is, their bodies are still capable, their nerves still work, their blood still flows. But their hearts aren't in it anymore. And when pleasure is disconnected from emotion, it trains your nervous system to expect a hollow reward. Yes, climax still happens, but the brain doesn't release the same healing chemicals. Oxytocin, which builds connection, doesn't flow. Dopamine, which boosts motivation, stays flat. Instead of feeling lifted, many men are left with a sense of emptiness. Worse still, it reinforces the belief that pleasure is something done alone, in silence, without joy. That mindset quietly chips away at vitality, not just physically, but emotionally. But it doesn't have to be that way. Self-touch, even later in life, can be sacred, intentional, and affirming. It can be a way to reconnect with your aging body, not with shame, but with gratitude. Because your body is still yours. It still feels. It still matters. When you approach self-pleasure with presence, with curiosity, and with warmth, it becomes more than an escape. It becomes a reminder that you are alive, that your body deserves respect, and that intimacy, whether with yourself or with another, is still possible. And now that we've covered the 5 most common mistakes, it's time to talk about the 6th. This one is universal. Almost every man falls into it. And yet, understanding it may be the single biggest key to regaining vitality, confidence, and connection. Let's reveal it next. Error 6. Using it as a stress escape. This is the trap nearly every man falls into at some point, and it's one that quietly steals more energy than any of the others. Think about it. How many times in your life have you used self-pleasure not because you truly desired it, but because you were stressed, anxious, lonely, or couldn't sleep? In those moments, it feels like a quick release, a temporary relief. But what really happens is this. Your brain learns to use climax as an escape, not as a source of connection or renewal. Over time, this habit rewires your nervous system. Instead of building energy, you burn it. Instead of feeling satisfied, you feel drained. And the worst part? Stress doesn't disappear. It just comes back, stronger, while your body grows weaker. For men over 60, this is especially dangerous. The body no longer bounces back overnight. Each misuse of your energy chips away at vitality, focus, and even emotional resilience. What was once a moment of pleasure becomes a hidden weight dragging you down. But here's the good news. The very same act that drains you can also rebuild you. The difference is in the way you approach it. When self-pleasure is done with awareness, with care, and with intention, it transforms from an escape into a practice of renewal. Instead of rushing, you slow down. Instead of zoning out, you tune in. You breathe, you notice, you connect with your body, you honor the process. And in that shift, something powerful happens. Instead of losing energy, you circulate it. Instead of feeling guilty, you feel grateful. Instead of stress controlling you, you begin to control stress. This is the transformation that so many men never discover, that the same part of life they once hid in shame can become a source of health, vitality, and even dignity in their later years. Now that we've walked through the 6 biggest mistakes and the deeper truth behind them, it's time to bring it all together. Let's wrap up with a message of hope and a reminder that it is never too late to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your joy. We've uncovered 6 of the biggest mistakes men make when it comes to self-pleasure in their later years. Maybe you recognized yourself in some of them, maybe all of them. But here's the truth. It's not too late to change. Your body may be older, but it is not broken. Your desire may feel quieter, but it has not disappeared. What many men mistake as the end is really just an invitation, a call to approach this part of life with more wisdom, more care, and more respect than ever before. Because here's what happens when you shift your mindset. Instead of secrecy, you find acceptance. Instead of guilt, you find gratitude. Instead of draining yourself, you begin to restore yourself. Instead of feeling less of a man, you rediscover what being a man truly means: strength, presence, and connection. At Better Health After 60, we believe this stage of life is not about giving up. It's about reclaiming what matters. And intimacy, whether with yourself or with a partner, is a gift from God meant to be enjoyed throughout your entire life. So the next time you find yourself thinking you're too old or that your body doesn't work the way it used to, remember this: aging doesn't have to mean fading. It can mean deepening. It can mean learning to feel, not just perform. It can mean discovering a kind of vitality you never knew was possible. The choice is yours. Will you let old mistakes keep you trapped? Or will you step into this new chapter with awareness, intention, and dignity? Your body is waiting. Your life is waiting. And it's never too late to begin again.